Welcome along to Friday Forum Live, broadcasting to you direct from Point Blank Music School here in East London, where I'm joined by DJ, producer and Point Blank tutor Paul Crossman, who's going to be giving us a bit of an insight into making music via Apple's iOS. So Paul is here to, as I say, give us a bit of a demonstration on how you can make use of the iOS platform via an iPad, iPod or iPhone to make beats, to create riffs, melodies as well, even produce full tracks. Also, as usual, Friday Forum is your chance to get involved. So all of you guys watching, make sure you post any questions you've got up in the chat room, and myself and Paul will do our best to run through them all. Just before we get into the session itself, I'm going to give you a quick update on what's been going on this week here at Point Blank. So first up, we've actually launched a couple of new courses here at the college in London. If you head over to pointblanklondon.com, you can check out all of the new DJ Producer Awards, kind of specially designed for you guys looking to learn production as well as DJing at the same time. We're actually launching that course as of January, so get involved and get in touch with us if you want to sign up and secure your place. Also, I've got to say a whole bunch of the team have just gotten back from Amsterdam, where they were attending ADE. You can see on Point Blank Plus the first roundup from the first day at ADE, but make sure you keep locked to the YouTube channel for all the details and videos from the event. And finally, we've just launched a brand new Logic Pro X update for the online courses. So the Logic Pro 1 course, which is available online, is now completely compatible with the new platform. And in line with that, we've also launched a new online certificate in Logic Pro as well. So for more details on that, head over to pointblankonline.net or drop us an email and get in touch with the course advisor. So that's enough from me. Let's get into it with Paul. So how you doing, man? You good?
Not too bad, actually. Just got back from ADE myself.
Oh yeah, how was it?
Yeah, it was good. It was really, really good. So a little fragile. Be gentle. Be gentle.
I'll try my best.
But I mean, it was great. I mean, it was an opportunity actually with a bit of the flying to take this with me and to actually see what you can do on the move. So we've got like the Novation Launch Key Mini here, which is one of the new ones I've been bringing out. And I kind of wanted this one because it's got a bit of everything. It's got some pads, it's got some controls.
Very small as well.
And it's tiny. Yeah. It's absolutely tiny. So, you know, it's the perfect kind of traveling companion to work with the iPad. I mean, you'll notice, before I kind of get into the app side of it, the USB side, I've got, if you notice here, there's the lightning connector, and then there's the camera connector and the connector and everything that you need to get it working. But once it's actually up and running, it seems to work brilliantly.
And there's no sort of connection issues with that at all?
No, it's absolutely native. I mean, you literally plug the thing in and it works, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, so it's off to a good start. So, hello everyone. I was thinking about this. Like I said, the thing about the iOS or making music with iOS 7. There's a lot out there, you know, there's a lot of apps, there's lots of different levels. And one of the things I was really interested in was kind of how you can connect all of this together. So one of the things, as we're going to see, is there are several different ways out there. Now, I'm not going to be able to do all of them, and I'm sure anybody out there who's got one, great, post it up, let's have a look at it. I wanted to give honourable mention to Audiobus.
Okay.
Now, Audiobus is a way of, let me just bring this up here, essentially enabling you to connect apps together. Okay, so one of the things I was looking at doing with this is if I click on the output, you can see here that I've got GarageBand as an output, and I can bring this up, and I can click on an input, and I've got a bunch of synths. Now, one thing I will say, some of the synths available for this are astonishing. Yeah. Absolutely astonishing. You know, I can see the iPad as a synthesizer device. Do you know what I mean? It's the hands-on control. I know it's not the physical kind of moving the knobs, but in terms of on the move, it's absolutely perfect.
I think as well, it's been something where, you know, like myself, I've always thought, you know, it's all good for having a bit of a play around, but how much can you actually integrate these into professional production?
Absolutely.
But then, you know, some of the stuff that I have seen recently is incredible. Yeah. As you say, really amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing about that is, I think, it's about finding a place for this. I think if you know, if I'm 100% honest, we're not there yet at a level where this is all you need, okay? But that ability to have something with you at all times, that when inspiration strikes, you can get straight in there and have things that sound good, you know what I mean? So slightly more than the toy that I think some people might think it is.
Exactly, yeah.
I was going to say with that, just on this Audiobus one here, that you can probably see I've got a few different synths set up. So for example, we can go in on the iMini, which is like a mini Moog, a mini Moog for the iPad, and let it spin around. And I'm just going to quickly tap these up, bring it into GarageBand, and here we go. So it's loading a song from earlier on. Okay, so that's now that's loaded.
Okay.
If I click on this one here, then you'll see we'll now go across.
Yeah.
So we've got the mini Moog on the go, and controller is. Now, I should point out to everybody out there that we are streaming pretty much everything from this iPad wirelessly. All right, so I mean, this is the 21st century in action, and it's great. There is a slight latency on here, okay, so that's just an excuse to get my bad piano playing out of the way, really. But you can see, you know, that I've got the ability to play that. Now, with iOS 7, there is a slight problem here in that one of the features of GarageBand is, if you can see, I've just brought this tab up on the right, the ability to hit a record button with this app open, record that into GarageBand as audio. Right. Okay. But unfortunately, it's not working, so we're waiting for an update at the moment, which, as I understand, is coming from GarageBand. But, you know, I mean, iOS 7's been out for, what, a week and a half? So, you know, there's always teething problems. So,
of course.
What I can do is, if I just tab around to this, for example, you can see here in a true Blue Peter style, here's one that I did earlier on. I mean, it's literally, all this is a beat, all right? And it's, you know, if I bring that in, you know, let me just get rid of the metronome. Where's the metronome? There it is. Okay, so essentially all that is me using GarageBand as an audio recorder. But because GarageBand is multi-track, the potential there to record loads of different things as you go. Yeah. Okay. So I can see the potential as a multi-track sketchpad.
You're getting ideas down, getting that audio.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, that's sort of to bring it in with the iMachine, you know, the Jamie Liddell in the bed singing stuff. Do you know what I mean? We can do this stuff anywhere now, you know. And I think that in itself is a really, really good thing. Now, the only thing for me about that was that actually, if I was going to try and put a track together and get more than just, say, essentially using GarageBand as a way of coming up with sample ideas, you know what I mean? So maybe coming up with riffs or sounds. And I started to think that maybe we need to look at another way of doing this. Now, with that in mind, if I just shut this down, and I'm going to close this all up. Don't want too much stuff running in the background, obviously. Otherwise my battery is going to go like this. Now, on the next one, a couple of different synths here from Korg. Now, we've had the iMini, which again, I'll be showing you a bit of later on, which is brilliant. But then there's a couple of Korg synths, which are just absolutely fantastic. They're not the cheapest ones on there. But I kind of feel there's a reason for that. And this is one of them, the Poly 6, early 80s kind of, almost sort of analogy, just crossing over before the digital sort of world. There we go, and someone's just got me on Scrabble there. So, multitasking as we go, what can I say? So,
playing Scrabble, making beats,
exactly, do you know what I mean? We can do it all these days. Now, this is great. I mean, what I've got here is basically the Poly 6 setup, and this is set up so at the moment I can move all the controls, and actually for a digital the filters aren't that bad, you know what I mean? It sounds all right. But what they've done with it, which is kind of, I suppose, moving on from before, is this isn't just the one synth. What you get with this is you get two synths, and so for example, if I click on this little button here, you get two synthesizers set with a sequencer for each. So if I click on the sequencer, we get a fully fledged polyphonic step sequencer. Now, for certain styles of music, the step sequencer is one of the sort of underrated heroes. You know what I mean? If you're doing any kind of loop-based music, any kind of techno or anything like that, the fact that it kind of restricts you brings the best out of you, do you know what I mean? And what I've done with it is I've set up a little riff. So let me just go in. I've also got a drum machine, which is also set up on the step sequencer. And then on the mixer, let me just mute this out. I love the kind of the old school look to it. We've also got a few effects and bits and pieces all running on here, okay? So there's something I was playing with earlier on in true style. So at the moment what we've got is the sequencer from synth number 1 running. So that's recording in that step, and I can go back to my synth. Okay, now this is, if you can see at the top there, it says FFL pattern 1. You can set up multiple patterns and then you can chain them together to create a song.
Okay.
So you've got more than just maybe something like, I'm using this as it stands as a sketch pad. Let's get a bit of an idea running. But you could, within this, develop the full idea.
Create progressions.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, and with this, the way I've got this set up on the mixer at the moment with everything muted out, I can bring in kick drum over the top. I've got little hi-hats, you know what I mean? And we're away, you know? And then a couple of different percussion sounds. It's kind of that kind of vibe going on with it, which is great. And then what I do like as well is a second synth, so I'm able to put a little B-line under it.
That's great.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can really, you know, and this is just on the pattern side of it, right?
Yeah.
So then you could change these together, you know, and I can go into my synth over here, I can go to synth number 2 and I can go, okay, let's have a look at this bass line for a minute. Let's bring up, let's see what we got. You know, there it is. All men over a certain age getting nostalgic now, do you know what I mean? Getting misty-eyed, right? So, you know, you've got this real, it's cool, right? You know, it's fantastic. Now I'm gonna stop that for a minute because this is great and, you know, I'm all one for maybe getting one of these and essentially using it until you break it. You know what I mean? You know, you'll get so much out of just working with one device rather than trying to get 50,000 synths and half knowing them. Okay, but it got me thinking because there's a lot of really, really good stuff out there. And another one of the ones, let me just shut this down. Oops, excuse me. Let me shut that down a minute. And I'll bring this up. And the other one which I wanted to look for is the MPC, right?
Yeah.
So this is an MPC for the iPad, okay? And it's all sample based, so that's me off the screen. It's not set up on there, but that's fine. And what we've also got in there as well is, so this is some of the demonstration ones that they've got. And you can then go through the tracks like this. See what I mean? And we can play around with this. We can change the sequence. Right? Hopefully, go on. Okay? Yeah, you feel me, right? So, we've got, you know, really, really, really good start. Let me just stop that a minute, because I was just getting a little bit excited there, wasn't it? Now, I mean, that's great, but you'll notice that the problem that we've got with these at the moment, if you can call it a problem, is the fact that every app is separate.
Yeah.
Now, the Audiobus thing goes some way to solving that, because what it does is it enables you to pass audio from one app to the other. So with the kind of the Arturia Mini Moog with the GarageBand, what we were able to do is to record audio in like a tape recorder, right? So old school way of doing things. But as I was playing with the GarageBand thing, what I found was that if it's not done exactly in loops, now, okay, I'm being slightly dance music centric here, that actually what you really need is you need everything to be kind of in blocks that you can then almost like Tetris-like assemble into a track. You know, I mean, if you're doing any kind of freeform stuff, I mean, it's superb. You know, there's a lot of devices out now.
I guess you've got to be very good at it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's that as well. Absolutely. And I think the thing is that there's a lot of devices out there. There's iRig, which is IK Multimedia. You've got the Apogee have just brought out a new interface, which means that you can pop it in, plug your guitar into it, and you know, off you go. You know, it's a brave new world, what we're looking at. But I wanted something a little bit more than that, and I wanted the ability to connect a few of these up, right? So when I was looking around, excuse me again, I came across this thing called Tabletop. Now, also, the thing about Tabletop, there he is this one here, is it's free. Okay, now, you know, when I say free, it's this concept of, you know, the in-app purchase. So it's not really free, but it's free, right? So you get a bunch of stuff with it, and then you can add more. And now here's something that here's something I did earlier on. Okay, now what we're looking at here is the Tabletop display, the interface of it, okay? Now you can see I've got an MPC loaded. I've got a couple of the Arturias in there as well. I've got some effects and samplers that come from within Tabletop, and I'm going to take you through each of these in turn. Hopefully we have the time to do this, okay? But if I just hit hit play for a minute, Okay, you'll notice there's a bit of a volume drop difference on that. Tell you what we can do. Let's turn it up to 10. Okay, so what I've got here now is I've got the IMPC is, as you can see, it's playing away. Now what's really cool about Tabletop is that anything that fits in it gets its own sequencer, right? Okay. So you can program up beats. Okay, now this is just on the iPad as it stands, right? So let's go back in, and I'll go back up to my mixer, right? Got a little bass idea coming from there. Now that's coming from this central mini Moog. Okay, and I've got, you know, all the usual stuff you can do. Now at the moment you'll notice it's just looping, right? Now I've also then got this gridlock, which is a sampler, and I'm going to bring this in now, right? Which is a little sample that I did again and brought into this, and then we've got effects on this. So, for example, I've got this little echo unit, which is well cute, and then I've got a filter. Okay. Now, also, I've got a second mini Moog here. So I keep calling it a mini Moog, the iMini. Let's get the names right. Now this I've mapped to the Novation. Okay, so what I've got here is a second pattern. So if I open this up slightly, okay, so I've got various controls, which actually, you see, this is what makes everything special. It's moving on the screen. That makes me well happy, that does. Now, see what I mean? Now, I'm going to stop this for a minute. There we go, stop it on that. Because also, the way I've got this set up, the pads on the Novation are now controlling the IMPC.
Right.
So I've set this up. Now, this doesn't do it automatically, okay? So you need to spend a bit of time in preparation, but then I've always found with this kind of thing that actually spending half an hour getting it to where you can literally go, right, let's go, okay? So I want to kind of show you a little bit of that. Let's take this house program, right? Which is, again, what I've done is I've used a standard one, just for speed more than anything else. Now the IMPC will import your own sounds, and actually it'll import them directly from iTunes.
Oh, right, that's cool.
Which is pretty cool. So that can be handy. Now, one thing I was thinking about that was you've got iTunes Match, right? So iTunes Match means that essentially all your music's stored in the cloud. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this works or not. I mean, anybody out there have an idea about this, I'd love to know. But the idea of having it in the cloud and then being able to pull it in this anywhere in the world.
So your samples are anywhere you
absolutely, yeah, you know what I mean? Would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no carrying around a terabyte hard drive.
No, exactly that, you know, absolutely less to lose, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Less to leave on the seat of an aircraft. So what we've got going here then is we've got the pads, and I'm triggering these directly off the iPad screen itself. Okay, and then we've got, hello, just to stop a minute. On the pads. Now what we do within Tabletop is when you bring up the display for whichever one it is that you want to use, you click on the little wrench in the top right hand corner, click on MIDI Learn, and it shows you everything on that screen that can now be assigned. So you can see here that I've assigned everything. So for example, if I click on pad 1, I click on that, and that's that first one assigned. There you go. So let me do that. Let me click on the second pad. That's the second one assigned. And then you set them up like that, okay? Then, what we can do is we can go around, just let me done that, okay? Go to the sequencer, right? And then, okay, because there is a bit of a latency going on here, but right, hit the record button. This is where the magic happens. Wrong sound. Right, there it is. Now, on the top left-hand side here, you'll notice, if you can see it, it's got auto quantize. So you set the quantize before you start recording, and then it makes, gets everything set to a grid and makes you playing really, really good. Now, for example, if we look on this screen now, I've got that long note that's occurred. We've got multi-touch gesture. So I can grab the note like this, there you go, and I can shorten it, right? And we can see all of the notes that are on here. Now, what I can also do is I can hold one note down, and we can see there, and I can select a bunch of them, like this. There's probably an even quicker way of doing it than that, but once I've done that, I can then tap, and I get a bunch of information. Cut, copy, paste. You also get fixed to grid, so you can shuffle things around, okay? So, I'll leave that set up as it is. I'm going to come out of here, and go back to the this page, and then I'm going to go back to Tabletop, right? Now, I'm going to click onto my arpeggiated one, and you'll have noticed that before, I've got all these controls set up on it. And it's the same deal. For example, if I want to use the keyboard, I click on MIDI Learn, and then you can see there the keyboards come up as one thing.
Yeah.
So I go select, hit one key, and it maps it across. But the drums are still there. See what I mean? Although what I've probably just done then is I've assigned everything to the drum pads. So, hey, well, you know what I mean? It's all about it's all about that. Right. So yeah. There you go, all the drums are going on that as well. Okay, which is really, 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 really cool. Let's just bring that in a minute. I've also, as I said, I've got the mixer here, so I can...
And the mixer is part of Tabletop?
Yeah, it's part of Tabletop. It's this thing, they called it the Goblin Mixer. Now, I'll show you. Let's go to the IMPC. Let's bring another one up, right, and see if I can come up with something around that, okay? So what I do is I click on this icon at the top here, and it tries to flog your stuff. It's a brand new future that we live in, you know what I mean,
yeah.
really? And as you can scroll down, what you can see is you can see a bunch of stuff available. So for example, the IMPC, the Akai and the Arturio iMini are available. We've got Gridlock, which is the touch sampler, which I'll get back to. Polyphonic keyboards, there's a absolutely, it's the cutest 303 in the world, man. But if I bring it in, it'll kick into, let's do it. Drag it in. Now it's a 303, so it will take over. Do you know what I mean, right? So what I can do, where is he?
There it is.
There it is. And now it's time for an acid break. And there it is. It's not the best 303 I've ever heard, but it's on an iPad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Good,
It's like,
yeah.
you know, I mean, it's absolutely fun and games. It really is. And off we go, right? So we've also, the great thing that they've done with this is they've modelled a step sequencer, which is almost as part of the character of the 303. The fact that you can't program it properly, you know what I mean? So it's quite random. So that's cool, okay? But for what I want to do, I'm going to just take this one out. So to remove it, I drag it up to the bin and off we go, right? Now, what I wanted to do is we're going to come back up here and we're going to go to the IMPC and I'm going to bring a second one in. Now you can see that it automatically routes it across, right? So I can now go in and I can go, okay, let's have a look at this. What have we got? We've got this 8-bit thing. Yeah, brilliant. That'll do. Okay, a bit of Super Mario never goes amiss. All right, so once I've done that, let me bring everything in again. Let me just get a beat. Like that. And then on the second Akai, what I can do is I can go to the sequence, right? And then we've got all of this here. Or what I can do is go around on here. Let's find some sounds. That kind of thing's quite cool. Hit record. And bring them in like this. So let's get a couple more. I'll do just a couple of tiny little things, all right? And then we go around to the sequence. There it is. So it's all recorded in, and it's auto-quantized to the grid. So all the playing that you need is done, basically. Yeah. Okay. So that's really cool, right? So what we can then do, for example, is I could say, you know what? Let's get an echo and a filter on it again. Let's see if we can do this and before the processor explodes. How many can we put in?
So you have to get another unit specific for that MPC.
So again, I mean, and the other thing that I like about this, sorry, get my slightly educational head on it, is the fact that it teaches you signal flow.
Yeah.
If you want things to make sounds, you have to kind of go through and do it, right? So let me just bring a couple of these in. I'm going to move you over there. Hang on, move you up there. Move you over here. Just put you in. Let's get the filter in as well. And then what I do is I click on the button next to it, and then that gives me inputs and outputs. So I can connect. No, I want to do it the other way around actually. Let's go into the. Oh, that's right. That's cool. I do know what I'm. No, I don't know what I'm doing. Here we go. Into the filter, out of the filter, into the echo, out of the echo, and into the mixer. Right? And that's probably a sign it's about to crash. We've done it. We've made it crash. Where's the output gone? Let's have a look what's going on here then. Well, that's the other thing as well. Hit the history button, and we've got an undo.
It's really nicely displayed as well, isn't it? Like all the routing is it's really kind of clear and easy.
Absolutely,
to get your head around.
They've really thought about it. I mean, I didn't want this to be an advert for Tabletop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, but as I was going through a lot of these, it was the one that really struck me as it's dead easy, dead quick, right? So let me just try that again. Oh, I know what happened there. Right, so I want the output of the echo. I'm talking. There we go. Let's come back a minute. Output of the echo coming into this channel there. Okay, so it's you that's doing that. So why are you doing that then? All right. Tell you what. Disconnect echo from the filter. All right. Well, be like that then. Right. I'm going to try this one more time. And it probably is user error. Let's just do it with the echo then. Let's see if I can get it to do that. Is it going to make everything stop? Yeah. Okay, hang on a minute. Let me just get rid of this filter a minute. Because it's that's causing the problem, I think. Let me just get rid of that as well. There we go, okay. Let's just stick with the echo on its own. I'll come back to that in a second. Let me just fire this one up. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you on this is in the top left-hand corner, I've got this thing here called the Triggerator. Now,
great name.
Great name. For those of you that are kind of expecting that this loop's going to go on forever and be in your sleep, what you can do is you can copy this pattern, right? So if you look here, what I've got is A0, which is playing at the moment as a 4-bar pattern, right? I can click on that, and I can go duplicate, and it's duplicated that pattern up for me. And then you can see there that what's happening is it's now going to play 4 bars, and it's going to go to the next pattern.
Okay.
Right? So what I could then do is now that I'm on the next pattern, we can come back in here and just to show you the kind of thing I'm in, I'm just going to put something a bit silly in, just so that we can hear a bit of a change, right? So let's just go, sing along an R2-D2, right? So, you gotta love quantization, do you know what I mean? It just makes everything work well. Right, now, okay, that's cool actually.
So now you can develop progression.
You can do progressions, right? So if I just bring this down, sitting quite nicely in the background, I can go between them like this. And I've got it on 5 bars. I mean, if I was honestly thinking about doing some sort of live performance with this, which I actually think is possible.
Yeah, definitely.
You'd want to maybe make it 1-bar loops.
Yeah.
You know, give yourself a bit more freedom. Yeah, but I mean, I can see it, that being possible.
Definitely.
You know.
We've actually got a couple of questions for you.
Yeah,
Paul.
great, far away.
In the chat room, Jeff has asked something which I'm sure people are probably curious about. Is he said specifically how could he integrate it into his Ableton Live setup, something like this, like Tabletop, I guess, and the apps themselves.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, one of the issues that we've got with all of this at the moment is the fact that there isn't any kind of a standard for it yet. So, say for example, if you take Tabletop, it integrates with certain ones. So, for example, you'll notice that the iMini works with it, the iMPC does, but the Poly.
Also on the when you bring up that menu, some of them said Tabletop ready.
Yeah,
others aren't.
Absolutely. So, for example, a few of them, as the ones that we've got here, do, but others don't. So, how do you do that? Okay. Now, there is something that you can do which means you can sync iPads via Bluetooth called WIST, W-I-S-T. and it enables you to sync apps, music apps, between iPads.
Okay.
So if you've got 4 or 5 kicking around like we all do, you know what I mean? You can get quite a cool little setup running with it. Now,
again, for live performance, that's got to be.
It's absolutely a very expensive way of doing it.
Yeah. Cool,
but I mean,
expensive.
Very cool. I mean, but and that's the thing I think at the moment. And I was thinking about that. For example, with the launch key, there's an iPad. There's a little mini launch pad that's come with it and stuff like that. And I can really see the potential.
Yeah.
Integration, probably more along the lines of, say, having something free. You know, so you could, on a very sort of cliche one, you could have your kind of dub siren set up.
Yeah.
You know, and you could have one that isn't necessarily all in sync. Because I honestly believe as well that you don't want everything quantized within an inch, otherwise it just sounds like a bunch of machines.
Yeah.
Okay, but I can see once it calms down a bit and people start working together, that in the way that MIDI, for example, revolutionised the way that synths communicate with each other. Something like that would be really useful, like MIDI, maybe. You know, there's a standard there. If it could be integrated. So if there's any app developers out there,
I'm sure
start working together, guys. You know what I mean? you know, there's a market for it.
We've also got a question. Jeff again has asked where can he download the Poly 6? So I guess from Korg.
It's all on the App Store.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything that I've got here is all on the App Store. Basically, if you go to the music bit and just have a look around.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Poly 6 and the Korg stuff isn't the cheapest stuff out there, to be honest. You know, you're talking in UK prices 20 quid for an app.
Yeah.
So it's not the kind of 60p impulse buy.
But I guess as you've kind of demonstrated today, it's not just, you know, a little toy for the train. You know, it's a bit of an investment in your setup, really.
Totally. And the thing is as well, I mean, if you think about things like these synths, you know, and the IMS-20, for example, is another one, which is a sort of really cool semi-modular. If you can get a sound out of it on here, when you go to your one, if you've got one, you can just apply the settings and do it. So it's almost like patch management. You can create your own sounds with it, and I think that's fabulous.
Most definitely, yeah. Also, we have a question. Someone else has asked how many apps can fit on the tabletop. I guess is it?
I think we're looking at it now. I mean, I think we could probably squeeze another couple in. I mean, when you click on these things, you'll notice. Let me just move it around. There you go. You can see you've got 9.
Okay, right, yeah.
I mean, whether you can multiple screens. I mean, the other thing about this as well is I think it's worth remembering that the fact that it's restricting you, I reckon, is a really cool thing. Because if you could suddenly have 14 desktops, you know. But I mean, 9 is enough.
And I think I'd agree with you. It's kind of like a new school, old school approach.
Yeah, it is. No, very much so. I mean, that's and again,
this is what you've got. You know, this is what you're working with.
Absolutely, you're limited and restricted.
Yeah,
you know,
very cool. Let's have a quick look for if we've got any other ones coming through. Someone, Casper, has asked. Is there no way to use the different instruments as VST plugins? I guess that's
no, absolutely not. Unfortunately, although that said, most of these are available as VSTs. I mean, the Korg Legacy Collection will give you all the Korg stuff. Artura have already got them out there. I mean, the IMPC, that to me is more of a kind of a hardware thing. You know what I mean? You know, it's just a different way of working. But Casper, I understand exactly why you'd kind of want that. But what I would say is I think that you'll find that most of these things are available in another form within your sequencer.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Also, Duncan has said he hooks up the iPad output to his audio interface to sample stuff like into Live 9 or Machine, which is quite a good
absolutely great way. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, what you're doing there is using it as a standalone instrument, actually, which, funnily enough, brings me to something that I wanted to show you, actually, around sampling. Okay. Now, this is also introducing in iOS 7. This inter-app audio has appeared. Okay, so. Built into the operating system, there is a way of transferring audio between apps, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading something earlier about it, and I've yet to get this confirmed, but it was MIDI-controlled audio was mentioned. Now, the idea, for example, of being able to say, let's go back to what I started with, which was GarageBand with iMini. The idea of being able to run iMini with GarageBand, right, and be able to put the notes into GarageBand and trigger iMini, a bit like Casper's saying about the VST thing, but enclosed within the iPad would be absolutely fabulous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it would be a bit like Tabletop, but if the apps were all built into each other, then that would be so cool. It really would.
It's a lot easier workflow, I guess, easier use.
Yeah, and I think it could lead to some quite interesting creative possibilities. But one of the real benefits at the moment, because the thing about into app audio is as I understand it, it needs to be brought into these apps. So you're going to see, okay, this being brought in as updates get rolled out. But it brought me to a question. I was thinking about this, like, you know, earlier on I was playing with the Poly 6, and, you know, I really like that, and I'd love to integrate that into this. Now, this into app audio now gives me the ability to do it, and it's this copy audio. So if we go across to my sampler here, right? Okay, let me just turn it up. Always, there we go. Let me just bring this up. Now, if we listen to this, right? That's an audio sample taken from the Poly 6.
Okay.
Right? So I'll show you how I did that. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up the Poly 6, okay? And let's just see what we've got. Now, the riff in here, let me just play that. Let me just hit play. Right, you can hear the Poly 6 triggering, right? So let me go back to this synth sequence. And actually, no, I'll tell you what, let's get a couple of bits of this out. Go to the drums, right? Go to the mixer, mute out these bits. Nice little drum loop, okay? Now you can see at the top here that it's actually going around on a 1-bar loop, which is brilliant, okay? Now what I can do, if I click on this middle button here, your classic, you can upload it to SoundCloud.
Yeah.
You know, which I think they should really put that button over there somewhere so you don't accidentally hit it and start uploading, you know what I mean? Why put unfinished tracks on SoundCloud? Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. We've got in here the ability to render. So for example, if you have made your entire track within this, you hit the render button, it bounces it to a stereo stem. But what I'm interested in is audio copy.
Okay.
So if I click the audio copy button, there it goes, rendered, and it's copied it to the clipboard.
That's that 1-bar loop.
That's that 1-bar loop, right? So now, if I go back to this, let me click on this second pad here, and I go to load, I go to audio paste from board, and it's pasted the audio in from the Poly 6 with a delay on it.
Yeah,
because obviously, because it's also what I need in my drums is loads of delay. So obviously there's something there. It's a bit of turn the gain up. Okay, I think I know what that might be, and I think that's actually from within the Poly 6 itself. I do have, yeah, here we go, the effects, here we go. So what I can then do is sit here and turn all these effects mixes off, because what that's actually done, but that's fine. So what this means is that I've now got a way of all my favourite ones. I can sit in the app, I can program up some beats and some loops, maybe different sequences. I can then audio copy them into the sampler in Tabletop, and it's not just Tabletop. I mean, this is why this into app audio is such a big deal.
So with this, you can just paste it wherever you
want it to go. And the thing is I've done all this without having to go anywhere near my computer and iTunes, because when we were kind of discussing this idea for doing this, you know, the whole idea of using, you know, a lot of these apps will enable you to get the audio out of iTunes, right? Which is fabulous. So for me, for example, if I'm sat on whatever mode of transport I'm currently on, I can use this as a sound design tool. Riffs, noises, all those bits that we all forget to do. Do you know what I mean? Because I've probably said this before, but spending time making sound is as important as trying to arrange your next hit record.
I think also, you know, sometimes when you're sat at your, you know, studio setup, whoever it is, you feel the pressure to make tracks.
Absolutely,
Whereas
no, totally.
Sitting on a train, it's almost like a nicer environment to kind of just muck about making noises.
Totally, man, absolutely. And I think the thing is with that is that with something like this, you've got a way of essentially any of your spare time assembling you know, stuff. Which brings me to a point, if Native Instruments are watching this, I want Reactor on this, please. Okay, I want the ability to be able to build in Reactor in my iPad, and that'll be me, basically. I can retire then, right? So I mean, this is absolutely fabulous stuff. I mean, let me just do this again. So let me go to the audio copy. There's my loop copied. Let me go around back into this, and then I'll do that pad again. Oh, I know what that might be actually. Ah, okay. That might be, sorry, just a bit of a brainwave, but let me just load that in again. Go to audio paste from the pasteboard. Pow. It's the length. Or either that, or maybe I might.
Gone through the echo?
Hang on a minute. Yeah, it might be going through an echo, mightn't it? And so let's have a look. Let's take you and let's plug you into number 6 then. Now the other thing about Gridlock, which is quite cool, it's got 2 outputs on it. So you can have, for example, I've got that sound there with the volume where I think, there we go, let me just turn him up. There we go, just get all the faders up like that. Right, so if I go back to this one here, out of 1 output, so let's do that out of output 1. Let's, come back. Let's stick him out of output 2. Okay, and then I can go up to output 2 here, and let me just click on the connection thingy, and I can wire him in.
Okay.
Okay, so once I've done that, I can then go back to this. Where are we? Come out of that. I can go back into this, go to my sequence, right? Now there's the sequence that I've got currently for this pad, right? And then on here, right, there's that one there,
yeah.
Okay? So what I could then do is I could take that note, I can copy it, I can go up and I can paste it, right? Like that. And then we can lengthen it out. I can do this thing where I can, again, what I can do is I can zoom in on it, turn it like this, I can lengthen it out, so turn it orange, and let's get some length on it, right? So this is a 1-bar loop, and then I can move this to the start. It does get a little bit fiddly, but you kind of get used to it after a while. There we go. So that's that right at the start. And then just orange it, drag it out. Let me just see how far I can go with this. Because I actually want this. That's okay, because it's only a 1-bar loop, isn't it? There we go. So now, in that, hello, I've got that note. So I can copy that, and then we can go in. There we go. Let me paste this in. Paste. Paste again, hang on. As I said, it can get a bit fiddly. Come on. I'll just do it like that then. And I can just copy this out. And then you can hear the beats that I've run in from. There we go, right, and I've just got to do this one more time. So I'm going to copy that, and then it will paste it. Come on, give me a paste. Right, there we go. Paste, there it is. Right, so there we go. So now what we've got is the kick pattern, right, generating, and I obviously haven't done all of it. So yeah, and then from there, there we go. Change velocities, that's going to be because of the trigger point at the beginning. But you're kind of getting the idea.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah? So this is really, really, let me just stop that for a minute. It's just a really, really cool way of turning this into, you know, a decent music making app.
Yeah.
Now, in all honesty, we've got a long way to go, I think. But I think that, you know, in the time that this has been around, we're just entering into that age where this is becoming not only possible, but it turns this into more than a controller.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and I like this little combination, to be honest with you. I do. I know I was going to say, because this is the 4th generation one, so this is the Lightning Connect one here, which is why we've got the camera kit. You can get one that's just purely for the Lightning. So, you know, I'm always one for as least amount of wires as possible, frankly. Definitely. Which is why, like I was saying, the fact that we're streaming the audio from this via AirPlay wirelessly is just astonishing. Really, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, that's sort of kind of, so I suppose where I kind of got to with this.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of approaching time anyway.
Oh, fantastic.
You know, I think it's you know, it's an incredible thing to see. I think you know, the potential is most definitely there. You know, and as we talked about, kind of for on the move, for hotel rooms, etc. It's incredible.
Absolutely,
such a small setup to get such you know, so much out of it. Really.
No, exactly. And I mean, the other thing is as well, one of the worries about this was the battery life on this, because you know, there's a lot going on, and let's see what we've done. So we've used about 10% in that half hour,
That's not too bad
which is all right, frankly. You know, so for those long haul flights, you've still got time for a couple of movies. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, there are, I mean, I'm trying to think what else I've got on here. I mean, there are other ones. I mean, I've got iMachine, which actually needs a special mention. Obviously, look, it does it that way. It's on the side here, which is another fabulous drum machine. Really, really good. Great stuff in it.
Great things, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, what we need, people, manufacturers out there, is for this stuff to communicate with each other. You know what I mean? I know you want everyone to have your thing, but it would be amazing, for example, if I could use this, you know, on my iPad with something else.
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But then that's just, I had to get a rant in at some point, you know. And also on a final tip, this one's quite fun. The Wablet. Okay, I think we've just lost, okay, if you can see. Now this isn't something that I would call is particularly a, if you can hear it, essentially, I mean, this is just like, it's a kind of gravity music tool. So what you do is you change the physics of it with a spring, and it sounds like the Hypnotoad.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Which I think everybody needs in their lives, really. So, you know, it's just. So I mean, again, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Paul. Well, you know, many thanks for taking the time.
No, it's a pleasure, mate. It's a pleasure
for showing us today. For you guys at home, thanks for tuning in. You know, we did get through, I think, all of the questions, but if you do have anything else, you know, feel free to jump on the chat room, and we'll do our best to answer them throughout the week. The whole session is going to be archived pretty much straight away on the YouTube channel as well, so you can watch back and go over it, you know. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.